People are furious at Unity right now. And frankly, I don't blame them. For those who don't know, Unity is a game development engine, mostly used by indie game developers and smaller game developers. I preface this, and also heavily focus the fact it is almost exclusively used by indie devs. So anyway, what did Unity do? Quite simply, they're going to become incredibly greedy. And yes, I get it's a business, but seriously, what they are doing is just going to kill any interest in their entire engine. And I'm not going to read it out, but effectively, what they are doing, for every game that has 100,000 downloads or more, there will be a 20 cents fee. And there is a very, very key phrasing in this newsletter. It does not say per purchase, it says per install. And if you want to read more about this, I am going to leave the official newsletter update thing from Unity in the description. Just note, it is also, first half of it is mostly other updates, because they are definitely trying to bury the thing they knew people would not like. And just for clarification on per install, I have a Steam Deck. I play a lot of my games on Steam. I usually download them on both my main PC, the thing I'm editing this on, and the Steam Deck, so I can switch between effortlessly. So me downloading a single game, since I would likely download it twice just for my first playthrough, and then uninstall it would cost them 40 cents. If I then wanted to play the game again, that's another 40 cents. So effectively, me playing through a game 3 times, in my entire lifetime of owning it, would cost them $1.20. That is per person. And before I go into some of the repercussions, I want to clarify why I'm very specifically targeting indie studios with my statements. And to put it incredibly simply, that's because a lot of AAA studios and the major developers make their own engines from the ground up. And just for the sake of this, I'm just going to use Xenoblade as an example. Monolith Soft made an engine for Xenoblade Chronicles 2. All future games after that have used that engine, i.e. Torn of the Golden Country, Xenoblade Definitive Edition, a remake of the first game, Xenoblade 3, and future Redeemed. Because it's easier if you are a big enough company with talented enough devs that can make an engine without it costing more money than just using someone else's, because then you have full customizability of everything you make, and you don't have to deal with any licensing things, or the company that owns the engine you're using doing something questionable. Now, let's talk about the repercussions. Because a hell of a lot of game studios and smaller indie teams are being heavily affected by this change. I'm going to list a few here. I'm going to put some others on screen. And then there are even more that I don't have time to show. Innersloth, the developers of Among Us, which, by the way, on iOS and Android is free, which makes this even worse. Hollow Knight and Team Cherry, which includes Silksong, a game so many people are excited to play. Cuphead and Studio MDHR, another list. Tevi and the other game the team's working on, Love Bunny, which are both incredibly games that I am super excited to actually be able to play and get my hands on. And those are just the ones I can quickly list off and fit on screen. And most of the developers, if this change is not revoked and Unity doesn't backpedal, for the games that they are working on, depending on their stage of development, they may just backpedal entirely themselves and start from scratch in a new engine. Like some games I listed, I do think will continue development because they are later in development, but something like whatever MDHR makes next almost certainly will just be in a new engine. Or the nuclear route, which I think some developers may do for smaller games and smaller teams that can't afford this change. Because again, one person, if they hated the company, could effectively cost them millions if they had enough time. Or coded a computer program that repeatedly installed and uninstalled a game. Which they could do. And if you're wondering what I mean when I say the nuclear route, I am referring to Cult of the Lamb. Their developers have straight up said, if Unity does not backpedal, they're delisting the game. They are just removing the game from existence if Unity does not backpedal. And for mild clarification on this, Cult of the Lamb is a really good game, and I do actually have respect for the developers. When GTA 6 footage leaked and people were complaining about how the game looks unfinished and looks ugly, yeah, no duh, the game was in early development. Cult of the Lamb's devs just kind of just went, here's some early footage of our game. Doesn't look that good either. And then there's the aftermath. Even if Unity decides to go back on this decision, I feel like a lot of developers who are making games or plan to are not going to use Unity again after their current projects. Because there's no say Unity doesn't backpedal again and go back to this format. Or, if they do backpedal, it's possible to even just go, it affects all games releasing after this date, and not going to retroactively apply, which even then, developers are going to switch over to something like Unreal Engine. The point being, even if they do backpedal, they've already burnt that trust from a lot of developers. This was both a stupid move for Unity, really just for Unity, because yeah, they might have made some money in a quick second and gotten some publicity, but you burned all your bridges. And I feel like a lot of developers, if their game's relatively early in development, considering things, they would rather just learn a new engine and start from scratch than have to worry about their games potentially ending up costing them money even after it's done. Either way, hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe since it helps with the channel a ton, and also show support to some of your favorite indie devs.